The big reason we started the Barbarian Group actually is that a bunch of us were working at advertising agencies, and interactive was still like the bastard child. You know, you were an art director, but you didn't get invited to the stuff that art directors got invited to at that time because you just weren't cool. There was like a development cave that had the worst block of cubicles you've ever seen. Like, it just wasn't respected at the time by the overall agency. The people who were working with us, you know, creative directors, you know, Alan and Tim and those guys loved what we were doing and were super into it. But there was a stigma between like the traditional guys and the digital guys that like, oh, digital guys don't know anything about typography. It's like, we do, we just can't do it on the web right now because typography on the web sucks. You know, I'd love to be able to hand kern things and all that. We decided to sort of break out and start something that was like completely digitally centric. So there was no like sort of hierarchy between any departments or any, even within the Barbarian Group. Like, we have this idea that, you know, great ideas come from anyone, whether it's the receptionist or the janitor or the lead developer or the creative. And we really wanted to create this environment where there wasn't like a magic room where the people who had creative in their title could go to and emerge with an idea. It was all about like the company itself being like a really collaborative place, and a place where everyone's sort of ideas were welcome and nurtured. We got a call from Jeff Benjamin from Crispin. We had worked with him on some Saturn stuff back when he was at Goodby, when we were still in sort of the car website making phase, because we had so much experience doing that. And he just, it was sort of out of the blue, had a wacky idea. And he and Benjamin Palmer, Barbarian CEO, were having these like long, drawn-out instant messenger conversations. And every maybe 15 minutes, Ben would walk around the corner. We worked in this tiny little office in the back. He would walk around the corner and go, "Hey Keith, can we do this crazy thing? Like, can we make an artificial intelligence something other?" Like, things I didn't even know what he was talking about really. And after a few questions, I'd just cracked open Flash and started trying. And then he'd go back and they'd talk some more, and it was this really odd day or two of not actually all, like normally now you would have a meeting, right? But this was completely like instant messenger conversation, like yelling through the wall, writing some code, sending them a file saying like, is this kind of what you're hoping for? No, yes, like should it match? Should it just be like a keyword thing? Or should it be more like, you know, those old, I don't know if you even remember this, no one's gonna remember this, but the old sort of text-based choose your own adventure kind of games like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and stuff. Like, how deep do we need to go with this? How much footage are we gonna have? And you know, Benjamin went down on the shoot. I unfortunately couldn't go down on the shoot, but they did an amazing job down there, and we sort of, and the reason I couldn't go down there is because I was staying up like 24 hours a day, living on, you know, Red Bull and cigarettes at the time, trying to make this thing. And it's another thing, like back then, you could just like make something that was start to finish, like don't sleep for a week, and all of a sudden it launched and was successful. Whereas now we've got these, you know, schedules like minimums of like 12 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is. The other thing is during that whole thing, my wife was in the hospital. My wife-to-be was in the hospital because she got like a staph infection or something from a hamburger. So I'm like up in the middle of the night working, and then I'd bring my laptop to the hospital while they were like trying to make sure she wasn't about to die. And I was still working, and then I'd go back to the office instead of home to sleep for, you know, the 15 days I probably needed to. So yeah, some of that was coded at Mass General Hospital.